Archimex login confirmed.
Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Episode 41. Us. It's a strange, stormy night in Burbank, and we are deep in the parking garage at the Burbank 16 for another edition of the Lodgecast. I'm your Lodge Master. With me, as always, is Brother Bishki.
Hello.
Brother Lucas.
Good evening.
Lodge Mistress Millie.
Woo!
And for the first time, a special, very special guest, excruciatingly special, a Brother David.
Woo! Hello.
What's up, dude?
What is up is that the only thing I find more frightening than a scary movie is the sound of my own recorded voice.
Well, I think it sounds beautiful tonight. It is resonating perfectly in this parking garage.
Thank you. I'll keep it dulcet.
And we are in for a treat. It is the highly anticipated, highly hyped Us from the mind of Jordan Peele.
Not them, but us.
Us. We take the temperature a lot on this podcast. If there is a filmmaker of particular hype or general cinematic interest,
A little thermometer prod.
we do. We probe just a little bit. What's the temperature?
My temperature's very high.
Oh.
Smoking.
I am very excited. Get Out, and if you could use a sound effect, is, in my estimation, a 4-bone film.
Wow.
I remember seeing it in Glendale, and then I can't remember. Lucas leaned over to me. He was like, "I think that was like 2 bones." That was early on in Lucas.
Yeah.
He's calling Lucas out.
Yeah.
No, it's all accurate. It's all true.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I don't know what is your temperature, Lucas?
Yeah, no, I felt like Get Out oddly lacked surprise or tension. Like I kind of knew what it was going in somehow, and so it was well made. It was a smart idea, and it was well executed for sure. It was definitely technically well made. I'd have to make it like 2.5 now. If I said it was 2, then
You're chopping it up.
I was a little crestfallen, but no, I love Jordan Peele and what he did with his show, and because like I'm trying to categorize Get Out. Like it's not really like a horror film. It's more like a psychodrama with like surreal elements.
So what do you think the expectations are? Like do you think...
This I'm excited for mainly because, as far as I know, he shot on location in Santa Cruz, where I spent
there you go.
portion of my formative childhood years, and I actually worked part-time at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk selling concessions.
So you're going to be flipping out.
So yeah, like when I saw that in the trailer, I really perked up and was like, wow, he's making like obviously a weird movie set in a weird town, and Santa Cruz's motto is keep it weird, or keep Santa Cruz weird, I think is its motto. So I'm excited. Like I have high hopes tonight.
Lodge Mistress, what's your Peele persuasion?
Well, when I saw Get Out, it was with my ladies, and I had such a great night, and it was so much fun, and I thought Get Out was really great, and I like him because I feel like it's like horror with something when they actually worked on the script. You know what I mean? And I feel like he will have worked on the script, and I like it when you do that with horror, because as you know, I'm a big horror fan, but I will tell you this, the premise does not scare me. Like the idea of meeting myself, I do not find
Because
scary.
you're a delightful person?
I'm so delightful. And, no, but we'll see what happens. I feel like my temperature is like super excited for Jordan in a good horror script, but I also, the horror element, as it's very personal for everyone, real low.
Good point.
Going in.
Okay. Brother David, you've soaked in all of this nonsense. What are your feelings on this?
I will tell you a story. It's
Oh,
not a story. I'm
please.
sorry. I'm overhyping what's about to come out of my mouth.
I love
the way
it.
this film has been overhyped. No, so I adore Get Out. I saw it, loved it. Then I did like the whole hype boomerang of having a falsified reactionary response to it, and then I saw it again. I was like, no, that was stupid. This is clearly great. My temperature reading on this film marks a similar trajectory. Initially, high, didn't even know it was coming out. Saw the trailer in a theater, super excited. Then it was tempered a bit by the response of someone who I know just saw it last week. And now that I'm on the precipice of the AMC Burbank 16, I can barely stay inside my coral-colored sweater. I feel like I'm just bursting out of my clothes and flesh with excitement for this film.
AMC Prime Time.
Yes, and
Yes.
you're seeing it in the best that Burbank
like
has
it.
to offer.
Oh, this is
electric.
This is a membership terminology joke. I get okay, that's good.
Top
Yeah,
tier.
well, the theater is like it's the AMC Prime Theater.
Okay.
And it's the best leather seats, the best projection. It's going to be a packed house. It's like the perfect way to see it.
And you're surrounded by people that are on the A-list, so we'll take care of you. We'll
Yes.
take great
Yeah.
care of you.
Wonderful.
Well, I want to see if From the Mind of Jordan Peele is a rushed term, because I always get a little worried when like From the Mind of M. Night Shyamalan starts showing up. It's like they're selling people on the director too much, and the pressure can be too much sometimes.
Right, that's true. People
So-
have high expectations usually.
We will see. I'm excited. I'm excited to prime it with y'all. I think we should just head in and let it roll.
I got 5 on it.
We had 5 on it.
Messing with that Indo weed.
We had 5 on it. We are back. I think we got a lot to say.
Yep.
So before we dive in, Brother Bishki, you got that schnapps?
From a Rotten Tomatoes, haunted by an unexplainable and unresolved trauma from her past and compounded by a string of eerie coincidences, Adelaide feels her paranoia elevate to high alert as she grows increasingly certain that something bad is going to befall her family. After spending a tense beach day with her friends, the Tylers, Emmy winner Elisabeth Moss, Tim Heidecker, Kelly Sheldon, and Noelle Sheldon, Adelaide and her family return to their vacation home. When darkness falls, the Wilsons discover the silhouette of 4 figures holding hands as they stand in the driveway.
This is some schnapps.
Yeah, it's still got one more sentence. Us pits an endearing American family against a terrifying and uncanny opponent, doppelgangers of themselves.
Okay, well, here we are. We are now on the other side of this. I mean, I feel like anybody listening to this will see this movie, so we don't need to go through the plot with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
I think this movie was so hyped, you got to just see it to know what people are talking about. So, go see it. That said, we start in 1986. And there's a similar beginning to Climax that we just saw, with a TV and videotapes on either side of it that are ostensibly,
Cluing us into the time and place.
cluing us into the time and place, and also the director's inspirations.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you do the math. There's Chud.
saw that.
There's Goonies.
Saw that.
There's
I think there was Nightmare on Elm
You guys
Street.
clocked the
Nightmare
right
on
stuff?
Yeah.
That
And the right
VHS
stuff.
right stuff?
Yes.
The right stuff. Double VHS.
The fuck was...
So we begin with a commercial setting up Hands Across America, which is kind of now an obscure
But always fascinating. thing from the 80s.
humanity stunt from
Yeah.
the 80s, where everybody was holding hands across America. That wouldn't work nowadays. There'd be too many crimes.
Yeah.
Wasn't that stunt underwritten by Coca-Cola? Wasn't that an entirely corporatist public event?
I think so. I think it was underneath all of the supposed goodwill. They were trying
Sounds
to
about right.
get you to buy your partner a Coke or something. We see the main character as a young girl kind of have this vague traumatic experience Lucas, were you transported back to your Santa Cruz days? What were you feeling?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I meant to mention this on the intro. I primed myself for this by watching Joel Schumacher's The Lost Boys recently.
You don't have to call it Joel Schumacher's The Lost Boys. You can leave him out of it.
There's a lot of talent.
Which was also shot on location in Santa Cruz at the boardwalk. And both films opened at night in the boardwalk.
Well,
and
didn't they mention they're filming?
They're filming something by the carousel.
I think they're filming Lost Boys.
They want to be
You're
talking
right.
about Lost Boys.
I didn't catch that.
And I was
but you're
half
right.
expecting to
I
hear,
remember
like-
that now. But yeah, it definitely was
And action.
It was definitely authentic. Like they're definitely shooting the real place, and whatever they added, like the whack-a-mole and the magic mirror, like it all felt right. Like it all felt continuous within the pre-existing
the
amusement
Santa
park
Cruz lifestyle
vibe.
Boardwalk.
Right, and like the guy holding Jeremiah 11:11, which I didn't know, I couldn't reference mentally.
He's got it.
I've got it. Okay, brother Nate texted this to us.
There's a homeless man holding a sign that says Jeremiah 11:11.
You know these homeless.
I don't. I was making assumptions, and I'm sorry. And thanks for calling me on
From the
that.
King James, Jeremiah 11:11. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them.
All right.
Ominous.
That's some Old Testament.
I'm sorry, we actually missed a crucial detail, which is the very opening title kind of threw me for a loop, because it was like, there are underground caves all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, wait, what? Like,
Yes.
Well,
Huh?
Yes.
and then I saw.
and then it keeps going, and it's like, these caves were used for, and it's like, wait a second, is this like a Wikipedia wormhole? Like, what are we here for?
Well, then I saw the Chud tape, and I'm like, oh, Chud.
Yeah.
Yeah, cannibalistic humanoid underground
But you
dwellers.
don't ever really, like allude to it in the film, except towards the end. But like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I felt like that was a completely underutilized like setup. Like,
there's a few of those in my
in
humble
the
opinion.
Lost Boys, they had a cave. It was like you like actually in a cave. You know?
I heard a signature lodge mistress frustrated exhale from the back. What's going on back there?
No, I mean, listen, I could have left this movie like 4 minutes in,
Whoa.
3 minutes in.
Whoa.
I just thought it
Wow.
was so boring.
Whoa! You
That's
were
what
you were
I'm
so hot
saying.
to trot beforehand.
God, I was bored out of my mind.
Whoa, that is anger. That is anger.
Well, I have to admit, towards the end, towards the back half, I really had to stay focused. Like it definitely, like I was losing steam.
Well, let's get there. So, I said we weren't going to belabor this plot, but there are certain points where, I don't know, there are points we need to talk about. So I think the open reminded me of the new Halloween, where there's this big setup, ominous setup, and then kind of a fizzle before you go to the title, which is dangerous with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
When expectations are so high.
Yeah.
You gotta give them. You gotta give us.
you gotta goose them.
You gotta goose us before you go to that title. I feel.
Yes,
Otherwise,
especially when you're setting it up with like major dread, like the parents aren't paying attention.
Major
it's
dread.
It's like, oh, this is going like 0 to crazy real quick, and then it doesn't. You're right. It just
then
abruptly
it's like
starts.
we're
and
in
you're-
this for a marathon. Now look at some rabbits for a couple minutes. I don't know.
And I
was
feel
a little worried at that.
And I feel
point.
maybe dramatically I would have revealed the information or exposition differently, in the sense that like why don't we open with the family getting ready for their trip, and then the wife is trying to talk the husband out of it at the last minute, and he's like, why, honey? Like, I don't understand. And she tells him the story, and then we
Much
kind of
more interesting.
and then we
Maybe.
kind of flash
Yeah.
back and
Much
see it,
more interesting.
because what threw me was when we cut to the present, and then it cuts back to the past, and I'm like,
Yes.
wait a second, like we're flashing back to that now, and I'm like, okay, that was her, and I'm thinking like, ooh, this is some clunky, exposition that you're not really giving us, like you're not dramatizing it like
Yes,
well
because
enough.
It was not scary at the top, and then we have to wait for a long time in the present before it gets scary. It was like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of just kind of creepy stuff, but it wasn't.
It's
it
very
wasn't.
creepy. Creep on it.
And you're leaning on just kind of a creep factor because you don't know what's going on for a long time.
But us having seen the trailer as many times as we did, we know
Yeah.
exactly what's going
we
on.
know every
So-
beat that's going to be coming up.
So
Yeah.
the intro might play better like 20 years from now when someone's just
Yeah,
like,
that's
"What's
true.
us?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, it looks like she's encountered someone similar to herself, but I can't be sure. I'm intrigued. Mm-hmm. But right now, it's like, get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I really like the Brother Justin, the 4-bone train analogy. Like, we all have 4 bones at the start of the film. We all leave the station with the same amount of cars.
Oh, yeah.
And where, like, the last of my car is, like, kind of untethered was when I realized, like, oh, this is a home invasion movie? Like, that's all it is? Like, and I don't know what I was expecting, but once my body and my brain realized, like, oh, no, it's a home invasion movie, more or less, I was kind of not in. I kind of just, like, tuned out.
Now, Brother David, are you riding this train, or are you diverting from this? I want to bring you along here.
I noticed that you've noticed my editorial silence.
Yes.
And how cannily I've withheld my opinion to hold everyone in suspense.
Oh, we're on pins and needles, man.
I have okay. So I've never been on the program before.
Yes.
It's a 4-bone scale.
Well, we don't do bones yet.
You do bones at the end?
We do bones at the end.
Okay.
You get a little soapbox at the end.
I see.
Right now, we're just creeping through the movie a little bit.
Well, speaking of creeping through, am I alone? Did no one go for the teaser? No one went for the teaser. No?
I was with it
nobody?
until the end of the teaser. I was like,
Okay. See, man, that teaser had me. Telling you.
I like it.
The lighting in the teaser is more frightening than the rest of the movie combined.
Right.
I agree that it fizzles, but it really had me eating out of the palm of Jordan Peele's hand. It fizzles. I didn't have a problem with it fizzling. I was still willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. As soon as the home invasion portion of the movie begins,
as soon as it became Desperate Hours.
Oh boy!
Did you have
Brutal.
any flashbacks during the intro of our experience at the Mall of America House of Mirrors?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did, Matthew. I declined to lean over and when
We
she
both
bonks
felt
herself on the mirror, I was
I knew
very
it.
tempted to say, "Been there."
Yeah.
But
when she saw that exit, I'm like,
don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Oh, rookie mistake, kid.
Okay.
Now, I have a question
Yeah.
also. When you say that she experiences a traumatic event early on, do you mean when she sees her double or when she's made to wear a Michael Jackson shirt?
I know.
The Michael Jackson shirt does add a layer.
It does.
Especially towards the end.
I liked it.
It adds a whole
Before the
layer
dark.
of the shadow side of
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of shadows.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we get to meet the family, and this is the section of the movie where they need to be doing so much work that I feel like they weren't really doing. You meet the husband, and he's kind of comic relief, which is cool and part of Jordan Peele's brand at this point. You know, keep a funny guy in there to have us laughing even while the dread is creeping in. But something about the family dynamic just felt stilted to me.
Yes.
And especially when they go to the beach to meet with their friends, I'm like, this should all be developing character, and it's just kind of like stilted platitudes.
Core problem of the movie. What makes Get Out so incredibly strong is that all of the horror is rooted in extremely well-defined relationships.
Yes.
That you get every dynamic from moment one of each interaction between each set of characters.
You need it.
Yeah.
There's nothing of the sort here. Like, you really need that central character to be well-defined so that you know
Yes.
how that she plays off of everyone else, so that when you have the argument about do we go to the beach or not, there's anything resting on it.
Yes. What do we know about her? Something bad happened at the beach.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It's very generic.
That's it.
Very
Yeah, I
generic.
mean,
Yes.
contrast that in every way with the protagonist, like telling his own backstory in Get Out, which is a compelling story to begin with. It's nestled in a way that makes the exposition active because he's in the clutches of the Catherine Keener character. And on top of that, it's just, I thought I had a third point, but I don't.
I would feel much more comfortable if this movie came before Get Out.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Doesn't
You know?
it feel like the first featured?
Yeah, you know, I thought that too because it is so low budget. I was like, wow, they really had no problem shooting this because it is relatively easy.
It feels smaller.
It feels super small and intimate.
even though it is technically bigger, I guess.
and like a real tour de force performance from Lupita Nyong'o, like playing dual roles because she really was just like dialed in and like committed.
I kind of felt bad for all the actors because
Me
they were really giving it their all.
High energy, yeah.
But if we don't know anything about them, it doesn't matter.
No.
Right.
Like,
I was just like the material is not living up to like
No.
their effort.
okay, so the trailers have shown everything leading up basically to this home invasion turn where I thought the section where, like, if we weren't so well versed in the trailer, the section where they're just standing at the end of the driveway would be very creepy, creepier than it was. I thought it still worked. But once we settle into this kind of situation where each family member's got a doppelganger that they're to face off against, what I kept thinking in my mind was, because there's so little character development, and because it doesn't even really seem to be concerned with scares,
No.
it becomes an action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, if you're going to have an action movie, it's got to be completely visually inventive. And that's where I also feel like it let us down.
Yes.
Because if we're having these action set pieces, you gotta build them up and pay them off with more relish than what's happening. It just seemed very straightforward.
And it's not only that, but it's also like the bigger issue is like Jordan Peele paints himself into a corner where it's like you're wondering for so long who these doppelgangers are or why they are.
Right.
And he does explain it, but it's like
At
again
the very end.
but again it's like so like heavily just heavy dialogue, exposition, like no dramatization.
And it's still weird. It's
and
like,
it doesn't
what?
totally add up.
No.
It's vague.
And yeah, and it's just kind of like, man, I like the ingredients or like the fundamental principle, but it's not meshing well, right? Or like jiving well.
Yeah, because you take like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, particularly the 1978 one, where they have, you know, the people that take over their bodies. It's like a real, like they're kind of these kind of soulless
pod people, yeah.
pod people, versions of themselves, and you kind of get what they're doing with these doppelgangers.
They're just underground dwellers.
They're just underground dwellers who are kind of creepy and murderous, and
but also
not-
human? Like, what?
it's vague what they're.
2 bodies, 1 soul.
I mean, I guess they're like
1 body, 2 souls?
they represent the shadow, but
Shadow.
was
and they're
like
Americans.
that. They never committed to anything in terms of heart. There was no heart in this film. It was like, what is this about? Like, there are hints of like these are people too. But like, I mean, and maybe that gets paid off. Maybe you could argue that gets paid off at the end. But like, there just is no. It's like you know, it's like there is no central character. There is no heart. They are fighting for nothing.
That's why I feel like
mean-
it's a mindless action movie.
Right.
And to the point where you're not even really relishing these action setups. There's the part where the daughter is told to run, and then the doppelganger daughter is like getting ready to chase her. I'm ready for like a chase.
Yeah.
And the daughter just kind of jogs off, and then we cut to somebody else. She jogs into frame, and then her doppelganger just kind of walks out in front of her. Like, what? She's like cracking her knuckles and getting ready to give chase, and then they
Yeah.
forgot to put the chase in.
Yeah, there's some weird directorial choices.
And then with the husband, he's out in the water. They establish the buoy, so we already saw the kid with the Jaws shirt on. We know there's going to be some Jaws action. I'm sitting there like, okay, let's get some buoy horror. And they don't even really do anything with it. And then when he kills the doppelganger, it's not even shot right. It's not.
I was
it's
so
weird.
I was confused. Like,
No,
the motor kills him, right?
The,
Yeah,
the motor
it was.
needs to be hit to start, so he
He
slams
hits
his
it.
own head on the
Oh,
motor,
I see.
and it sucks him down.
The direction's weird.
But
That's weird.
if you're gonna do that, have him slam his head. It comes on. They lock eyes, and he's like,
Sorry, bro.
get chopped, motherfucker, or whatever. because it's a fucking action movie at this point, and then have him get sucked down. You don't even know what happens.
Yeah,
that
it
should
was
be
confusing.
That should be a part where the audience goes nuts, because it's the first doppelganger that's killed, and it's kind of just brushed off, and then you cut away.
Do you think the audience?
No, likewise. Moment number 2 like this. His friend is writing him about, well, you got the life jackets. Did you get the flare gun? He didn't get the flare gun.
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
Boom, he raises the flare gun. He puts it to the monster's face. And he shoots it, and it just kind of goes off in a funny direction. That should be like that. That is the. I mean, when you see the flare gun in Act 1, the flare gun is supposed to make you laugh. It's it's Chekhov.
The comedy was like the crowd was laughing here and there, but I don't know. Like, I don't think the tension was there.
The crowd wasn't
audience.
pumped.
No, I mean, this is what's beautiful.
I think we were all looking for tension or suspense or stakes, and you're right. Like, there was nothing at stake.
The laughs aren't suffused into what are supposed to be all of your most tense moments. It takes the air out of every moment where you should feel an overwhelming sense of dread. It feels like a real robbery of both the comedy and the tension in the movie.
Because everything's there.
Yeah.
All the pieces are there.
Yeah.
It's just, it feels like the focus is just a few clicks off.
Yeah.
Like it needs another few passes or
he's
something.
got producers. Jason Blum is no slouch, and there were like 3 or 4 other credited producers, and I'm sure they're all got to be giving him their opinion on the script or like on certain scenes. But
when it's from the mind of Jordan Peele, you can't really tell. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he operates, but you probably can't tell him too much. Because it's like, trust me.
Right.
But there's just something broken about it.
It's half cooked. It's
half cooked.
It feels totally half cooked.
And like just really like I love it when she's like, tether yourself to the coffee table, and I'm like, nothing scarier than to just tethering yourself to a coffee table, which you could easily break. I mean, it was so ridiculous.
Wicker, rattan?
Yeah, they like show a shot of it, and you're like, why does she need the fire poker? Oh my god.
Oh man, the lodge mistress is running hot tonight.
Yeah, I'm rubbing off on her.
It did have my boy Tim Heidecker in it. I loved Tim.
Well, and then
he kind of took me out of it though.
I
kept staring at all the
There's
fake tattoos, and I was like, dude, did you have to put that many tattoos on?
Very distracting fake tattoos.
It's so on the nose. Like it's so on the nose.
He wasn't given anything of substance to say, and then when we meet his doppelganger, it's just so silly.
Yeah.
I mean, can we just talk? I mean, why are you singling him out? The performance choices of the doppelgangers are ridiculous.
They're silly.
Yeah.
They're goofy.
Winston Duke, the funniest guy in the movie, has the most sensible performance choices in his alternate role.
And he's just,
like everyone else
he's just
is
bellowing.
Oh my god.
He doesn't say a word. Which I guess, I mean, to me, when it stopped being scary was when Lupita doppelganger just
starts explaining
just
everything
explains
in
the whole
slow motion.
And then I'm like, well, I guess she's using a creepy voice, but I'm not scared now.
I know.
Like, I kind of get what's going on, and now what?
And then the lazy scare crawling with the little boy. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just so lazy to have people crawl around. Like, I just...
You don't like the crawling.
It's so Billy from Glass.
It's just...
Okay, let's step back. What do we like about this? Come on.
The Santa Cruz location, I thought, started off great.
Very creepy.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish, like what I mentioned.
Are we staying in positive here?
Yeah,
Let's try to say something positive.
Yeah, it looked great. It looked great.
I thought it looked great. I thought that all the direction throughout was, even though it was kind of botched at times, like, I thought,
it felt confident, like somebody was confident about it.
I think he had a vision for disparate elements of the film, but as a whole, like, they don't come together. But he's like, I want these tunnels with these bunnies running around, and I want this and
Are we
that.
staying positive?
No, yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, you accomplished those visual elements well.
Lodge Mistress, say something nice about this. Really nice.
There was one shot in the film that I did like, and it was when she was standing at the window, and I was like, God damn it, why? Sorry. Let me just say this one thing, and then I'll get to the good point.
Oh, wait.
It's like, why is she delivering her monologue with her back to the camera? And then it paid off with that shot in the window where she's staring in the window, and it looked really scary, and it looked really creepy, and I thought it was great.
That was solid.
Okay.
And then we can talk about the end now, right? Like, because I do think the reveal of her, kind of coming out of the underground, I saw it coming from a mile away because there's points where she kills people earlier and she's kind of getting into that primal state. But that made me at least start to think about what these underground people were. I don't think I'm going to think a ton about it.
I feel like that the twist where it turns out she was actually the Chud. If it was gonna do anything for me, it needed to happen like halfway through it, and then then the terror is within the family.
That would have been really, really scary. Yeah, because then you don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
As an ending, I'm like, what? Like, what am I to do with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, am I supposed to imagine the terror now? And the Chuds have taken over the world? Like, I don't know. It's a weird note to end on.
And we end on the shot of the human wall going through the landscape.
Brother David, what did you think about the summation of this?
I mean, I was left asking myself,
do you have anything
what
nice to
underground facility made, the number of red jumpsuits required to span the coast from sea to shining sea?
And they were crisp.
They looked good. They looked good. A lot of the images and design elements, I think, independently are really strong.
Sure.
I mean, you know what they are? They're enough like strong patterns and design elements that to make up a really, really, really good trailer. And they did it.
The trailer
unfortunately,
is great.
like that by the fifth time someone brings up the number 1111, like
from Jeremiah,
fucking spare me. I mean, I think that what we have to also talk about though is that like what makes Get Out such a singular accomplishment is that it is so masterfully uses an excellently made horror movie to couch really, really, really compelling themes.
Right.
Yes.
And there's no, like, the politic of this is so ambiguous.
You have to stretch so hard.
The lack of thematic development was driving me crazy. I was just like, just do
Find
something.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you're wrapped up in the human story, you're wrapped up in the scares, and you're wrapped up in how all of those things build upon the kind of stated premises or themes of the movie. And the absence of that in this, I think, is the real weakness, or the thing that I found most disappointing.
Agreed.
That's the kryptonite. Are there any other things we need to discuss about the arc of this particular film?
I have a positive.
Okay.
Satisfying to see that first twin get taken out.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like
that was pretty abrupt. That made me wince.
And if the other kills had been set up better and paid off better and done with more relish, I would have enjoyed the initial dispatching of that family in its kind of just shocking wide shot from outside. I would have enjoyed that more.
Yeah.
As it is, I enjoyed it because I was just shocked and I felt something. And I think it was the casualness of that kill that was so shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But you just killed off 4 people at once. You need to give us more to chew on, If you're not going to set up the boat right or the running right, I don't know. It just felt like...
Well, yeah, I mean, like, such basic storytelling stuff. Like, what are the rules? Are they stronger than us? Are they faster than us? Like, really basic questions.
And do they really think like you? That was
never established. Yeah.
That wasn't fully explored. She says they know what we're going to do, but it was kind of an aside, like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess we should move then.
Keep moving. And then they'll keep moving. There's so much, like you said, there's so much to delve into possibly there, but they just don't do it. So again, it feels like an empty action movie, which is a shame. Yeah.
Let's get to these motherfucking bones! Who to start with?
I'll go first.
Oh, wow. A tribute.
A volunteer.
Yes.
So
Santa Cruz boy.
So yeah, Santa Cruz. I wish there was more of it. I wish there was more like Santa Cruz B-roll of like the locals. You know, I wish we'd have shown the family coming from a different place, like maybe Los Angeles, like driving up to Santa Cruz. To get there, there's a lot of weird people here, hun. You know, they meet their friends, Elisabeth Moss and Tim Heidecker, and maybe they, like Tim and Elizabeth, are like, hey, we saw you the other day, but you didn't say hi to us. And it's like, what are you talking about? And like, I don't know. I wish like this movie was different in the sense that like it wasn't home invasion, but there are like your doppelgangers in this weird town, and it's like related to some weird ancient myth.
You're doing a live rewrite.
Yeah, I know. But like,
I always love your live rewrites.
Like,
by the
yeah,
way.
like what Lodge Mistress Millie was saying earlier. Like towards the end, like I was struggling because there was just not enough information, and what I was seeing wasn't wowing me. You know, it reminded me of this one home invasion movie that nobody likes. But like aesthetically, I was like, wow, it was trying for something, which was High Tension. It's this French movie.
People like High Tension.
Okay, but yeah, what I mean is, it's like
it's disgusting.
It is. It's violent and gory, but like at least like the director had some long takes, had some suspenseful like setups where like you like will they or won't they get away, and in this, yeah, you just like it was just like a fight to the death, and it seemed like they weren't gonna kill anyone in the family, and they didn't. So I give it 1.5 bones.
1.5 bones. Bishki's nodding his head. He's nodding his head along. What's going on over here?
Yeah, I was frustrated. I was like, when is this movie gonna get going and get into the meat and potatoes of these doppelgangers?
You insultingly just brazenly walked to the bathroom during a quote-unquote tense scene.
Well, there wasn't a good time to go to the bathroom, and
it's called before the
when
movie.
I kind of realized the home invasion was just going to keep going and going, and I had to go to the bathroom ever since the doppelganger family showed up. I was like, I got to get out of here at some point.
Yeah.
And anyway, so
you didn't miss much.
I didn't miss much, I don't think. But yeah, Jordan Peele had just everything. I think he just maybe rushed it. I don't know, or he just didn't have anything. Like he was like.
I feel like honestly, he was in Santa Cruz walking around and like was seeing people dressing up for Halloween, and he was like, "Man, it'd be really cool if I like made a movie with like a Halloween costume people could wear like every year. What could it be?" And it's like, yeah, the jumpsuit with the sandals and the scissors and like a driving glove, and mark my words, that's gonna be like the
That's a good budget.
That's like the
Halloween
2019 like iconic Halloween outfit
with some scissors. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I mean, going into it, even though I said my temperature was high, I was like, I don't know if this guy can repeat himself with Get Out. It was just
the hype is a dangerous beast.
The hype is a dangerous beast, and I'm gonna say the direction was still solid. I think he's got a lot of visual talent, and I think he's pretty good with actors. I think the performances were good with what he gave them, but some of the stuff that was coming out of their mouths was not. I'll give it 2 bones.
He's throwing it 2. You got 2 on it.
Yeah, I got 2 on it.
On it.
We're gonna go into the back seat for Brother David.
Yeah, I was thinking while Bishki was speaking. There are so many moments that are unshowy, like wonderful directorial moments that I feel like it's difficult to appreciate because of some of the storytelling problems and so, like kind of how deflated the movie feels so early on. But like that shot of Lupita Nyong'o, like in the background and in the foreground when the big exposition unload happens, like think about how wonderful that would have been if
you cared.
The information you were receiving was interesting.
Yeah, it was a great shot.
Yeah, so I haven't been on the show before. 4 bones is high.
4 bones
is low.
High. 4 bones is all the way.
So that's all the way. 2 bones.
2 bones.
How does it feel to have dropped your first bones?
I mean, fine.
That's good. That's how it should feel. Lodge Mistress Millie, I sense a neutron bomb about to explode.
I know. I will tell you this. The scariest thing was the ride down in the elevator to P level 3 by far
after
all
the
evening.
Movie.
Damn.
After the evening.
She's not scared.
But
she ain't never scared.
But I still will give it. I'll give it a I'll give it a half bone for horror.
Whoa, Roger Ebert Memorial half bone.
No, but I'm not finished.
Okay.
Plus,
I'm gonna let you finish.
Plus one, but I have to give it 2 bones. I don't want to give it 2 bones, but it was a horror movie that was in the realm of horror movies, still decent to watch, even though I was bored out of my mind.
Whoa.
I have to give it 2 bones.
I don't know what to make of that rating.
That is beguiling. That is beguiling.
It's only because this is my favorite genre, and I know there's a lot of trash, and I wouldn't call this movie trash.
Mm-hmm.
We must be married, because I'm going through the same internal tempest that you are. It's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It's not a remake. It's not a reboot. It's an original movie that has some very strange elements, some very memorable images. I guess there's going to be some moments that I think about. I'm going to think about Tim Heidecker just kind of walking around going, hey, whoa. I think I'm going to focus on the things that you shouldn't really focus on in a quote-unquote terrifying horror film. But, I don't know. It's tough. If I dip below 2, it feels wrong to me. If I stay at 2, it feels wrong to me. So I kind of want to give it a 1 3/4, but I can't. I cannot do that.
Can't do that.
I will.
Gene Siskel Memorial 3/4.
I will be banned from my own podcast if I do that. So, in the spirit of encouraging originality and original stories in the horror genre, even though it's basically an action movie, I'm also going to give it 2 bones, but I feel conflicted about it. I feel conflicted about it.
Mm-hmm. I wish the tempest of which you just spoke was a tempest in Catherine Keener's teacup.
I was just thinking, do you
Those
think
were
he's
the days.
building like a cinematic universe? Do you think the Get Out universe and the Us universe is gonna like get out us?
Yeah.
What do we make of the 95% Rotten Tomatoes score? Is it just Get Out clout that he's riding on?
Yes, gotta be.
And I think it's the same dilemma where it's like you want to encourage this kind of stuff because it's dying.
Mm-hmm.
It's dying at the theater. Like
we're going to see Pet Sematary in a few
we're
weeks.
going to see a Pet Sematary remake that they show you the whole thing in the trailer. Like things are dying, and this is it's tainted water, but it's water for the plants. So
Yeah.
I think the critics are in a spot. They're in a tough spot.
And did you see what the audience score will be?
The audience score is going to be interesting because they take no prisoners.
It makes me want to try to crack the concept of a doppelganger movie because growing up in high school, I remember hearing a tall tale that my doppelganger lived in like my area, like in North Hollywood. Like they always said your doppelganger lives close to you because people that you know will mistake you for them and it'll like lead to misunderstandings or something. And I thought like, wow, that's interesting. And then like in Time Cop, when they go back in time, you know, Ron Silver's like, don't touch me, man, because if we touch each other, like, then it makes the space-time continuum collapse.
Well,
but
you know what makes it especially delicious, Lucas, is that Bishke and I have often referred to Brother David as your doppelganger. So your doppelganger might be closer than you assume.
I mean,
don't touch me! We're sitting next to each other!
I don't mean to go after your cushy Santa Cruz upbringing, but it is true actually that while you grew up in Santa Cruz, I grew up in an underground bunny bunker. So there is something to that doppelganger theory.
Just a little something.
You know, I've always wanted to grow a mustache. I just can't.
Well, we'll figure out how to do that. In the meantime, we'll see what the audiences do with this. There was the definition of a smattering of applause after this movie.
Yes.
It was just a little whisper of a smatter. And I don't know.
And the crowd was ready. The
crowd was ready.
There were people going, whoop, whoop, right at the beginning.
This was a full theater.
Yeah.
There was a guy sitting next to me who told another guy to turn his phone off and that he was an asshole, like to his face. And I was like, oh my God. I hope
that
they don't
scared
get in
me
a
the
fight.
most, yeah.
I hope they don't
that was
fight.
the scariest part for you?
I was thinking if they fight, man.
Who's psyched for Ma?
Ma, that was the revelation.
Octavia Spencer.
We are going to Ma opening night.
Oh, wow.
Brother David, hopefully you can just fly back in or live here by then.
I'll do my best.
They should call it like Cray Cray Ma or something.
You need to, anybody listening to this, watch out for Ma and get it hot and get it early.
They should call it like Ma's Ma or something.
M-A-W?
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
Brother David, thank you for debuting on the podcast tonight.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for taking me to Prime.
Yes, you got primed. Hopefully you will make your move permanent, and we can have you on multiple times, take you on multiple Prime adventures. But yeah, that's us, y'all. This is us.
They're us.
This is us.
They're us.
Love and light,
Love and
y'all.
light.
You know these homeless.